Here we go. Nice and fast. Hey, Daniel.
Hello, Caleb,
How you
and
doing, buddy?
welcome to Propspectives, a rugby podcast.
There you go. Wow, good intro. I was just like straight up to like, hey, how you doing? Even though we've been talking for like 20 minutes already. It's that, hey, we've just started. Oh, we walked into a room and I'm shuffling papers and this is
Yeah,
just starting.
and there's a strange, handsome, bearded man in front of me.
Well, yeah, thank you, Dan. That makes me feel nice. I do. I do have a well, not strange. You're quite familiar. A familiar, handsome, bearded man in front of me. Yeah. So, what are we talking about today, Dan?
So today we are talking about how you can't outrun a bad diet.
Oh,
However, you can out-eat a bad diet, and that's what's called being fat.
oh, is that the winning scenario then? Okay, I got that. I'm winning all the time. Oh man. So yeah. So you can't outrun a bad diet. I definitely have tried this before, and have lost or won in this instance many times over.
I
Um,
mean, the old saying is, you get fit at the gym, you lose weight at the fridge.
that's
Um,
the truth, man.
and I think that's mostly true. I mean, I, to be fair, I also know some people who are ridiculous, who like spend like 3 hours at the gym and then like run ultra marathons, and the amount they can eat is just like, I'll just eat like this pizza and then another pizza. Uh, so I mean, there is such a thing as burning calories, but like it takes a lot of exercise to burn calories, and people often don't realize how much of that. In terms of like, I go to the gym for like 15 minutes, and that's not even a cookie. Like you haven't even burned enough calories to eat a cookie.
Yeah.
Um, you can increase your basal metabolic rate by doing strength training. You can burn calories by doing cardio, and actually, if you do like intense cardio, which I've got notes on, for we're going to talk about more later. Um, you can actually like continue burning calories as your body is healing, but
There's that
really like
cardio inertia, right, or whatever it is for that
yeah
state that
uh,
continues.
but really like I actually also don't think that saying is entirely true, because diet affects a lot of your physical and mental health. um, just people who eat healthy are happier, and even if you do something like ridiculous, like they actually did a study where they just gave people vegetables and be like, eat them if you want. Those people actually became happier if they ate the vegetables than people who didn't. uh, and there's ridiculous things like that where it's just like, yeah, having a better diet is so important. But if you don't have a good diet, you can still be a prop.
It's true. Yes. Um, I was at the I was at the grocery store, and so my son is also a prop, and he's a fit fella, that guy. But he also is an eating machine, uh, and we eat very well. The cashier was like, "You eat very well," because I've got a ton of vegetables. I tend to make everything from scratch if I can. But I also definitely my caloric intake is definitely higher than it should be because I fucking love the calories, dude. I love cheese is my huge weakness. I love meat. I love all those things. So, despite eating fresh and tons of vegetables and tons of fruit, the problem is it's tons. But at the same time, Dan can attest to this. Uh, I really suck at all you can eat.
Yeah, like
Like,
really, like Caleb and I are like identical in size. And now that he's doing training, like his lifts are like rapidly catching up to mine.
it's the
Uh,
goal.
but like we go to all you can eat sushi, and I leave Caleb in the fucking dust.
Dude, there's no there's no it's sashimi and tempura. It's apples and oranges, man. It's completely
Caleb's
different.
like, well, I've had 12 pieces of sushi. That's a pretty good start. Oh man, Dan's already done 50.
Yeah, you're like demolishing a plate. It's not as bad as that. I do eat quite a bit, but nowhere near can I pack away what you're able to. Which is, yeah, it's astonishing. But yet here we are, and I so my body likes to be around whatever this weight is. It's a lot. It likes to do that, and you know, it can lose relatively quickly, but at the same time, it just likes to balance itself out again.
Mhm.
Um,
This is my huge problem as well. Like I am, I am eternally like cutting because of the way it is, and I'm actually pretty good at losing weight until like something goes to shit, and then I start eating my feelings of it, and then
oh,
I gain all right back into about like right about like 370 pounds.
yep, yeah, and I too like this is and there's a mental aspect for this too. This is why I have trouble running out of it. I also eat for comfort. When shit hits the fan, I'm like, oh yeah, hello friends, and they're always there for me, and they will stay with me until I cast them out again. But yeah, no, it's the same thing. And it's crazy. Like my body's like, okay, now's the time to lose weight, and it does it, and then it's like, now's the time to eat. Okay, let's balance this out. You know, and so it's like the eternal struggle is like, yeah, constantly cutting, but
Which
maintain.
is also really bad because usually when my mental health goes to shit because things went to shit, I'm also not working out as much, and so I really should be doing like bulking cycles as I'm working out. Instead, no, I'm just eternally not because of how it works. When I'm bulking, I'm not working out.
Now,
It's
it's funny, I've also found that, you know, like after breakups and stuff like that, typically I will revenge fitness, which is also a terrible habit. Don't do it. But I've seen great results. But what happens after you emotionally are no longer angry, that's when like continuing this crazy workout, it just falls apart typically
mhm.
because, you know, I'm no longer angry or whatever, or sad or whatever it is that's driving me at that point. So it's like picking up these healthy habits is it's really difficult. So hard. Unhealthy, easy peasy, man. You know?
The good thing about unhealthy habits is they, meet a need now. The healthy habits meet your need of the future you.
Mhm.
And sometimes screw the future you. Now you needs it.
Yeah, I'm living a little too much in the now, but yes.
I mean, well, that's the thing. And then there's lots of things you can do to really be like, okay, I have to really sort of orient myself more towards future because living too much in the now usually leaves you sort of really struggling all the time because you're never planning ahead enough. Living too much in the future means you have like a miserable existence where you're always like, working too hard for that payoff that is always seems just out of reach.
Yeah,
Uh,
the moving, uh,
Target?
oh, what is it? No, it's like the moving goal, the moving thing. It's just constantly chasing it. It was eloquent, but it's gone. I had something, Dan, but it was gone.
It's okay. For you listeners at home, he looked really good while saying it. So,
I can feign, you know, a philosophical pose. I can do that.
Caleb, completely inarticulate, but he looks so good you don't notice.
Yeah, it's gotten me by. It's gotten me by, buddy. But yeah. So okay. So now, and this kind of leads into our sort of a first subsection, not the inarticulateness, but but I'm about to impart a story. So what has happened? What I have found in my 37th year on this earth is that I've gotten very good at getting stronger. So now I am just very strong and very fat. I have not. I've just, and this is due to the imbalance of the fact that yes, I very much like strength training, and I'm very much resistant to cardio, which you know is a joke, but it's real. It's real. But let's talk about strength training. Because right now we're at very different spots actually with regards to strength training. Dan, you typically work out way more than I do, but because of this COVID thing, the gym that you go to, which is actually right nearby your house, uh, it's at a college. It's actually still closed, I presume.
Yes, well, it's open now to students,
Right,
but not to general members of the public who need a place to work out because there's no other place around.
right.
The other nearest gym is Movati, which I don't really like, and is also very expensive, and it's also like it takes me about an hour to get to, so that's not that close.
That is a lot. That is actually quite a ways. It's actually almost less time to get to the one that's like near me at Train Yards. I used to go to Nobody, and while it does entice you, there's nothing terribly wrong with the gym. Not that anyone from Nobody is going to be listening, but it is expensive, and there's a lot of stuff extras that I just did not use there. Like
I
I
mean,
just really didn't.
this is like thing like there. It's like, okay, well, you join. You will have someone who can teach how to powerlift. I'm like,
Dude,
or like teach how to lift. I'm like, I squat 565 pounds. If there is someone who squats more than me, I will gladly have them show me. Like,
yeah, yeah,
what do your trainers squat? And they're like, oh, none of them squat that much. I'm like, I thought so.
that's right. That's right. Well, and I really, when I was part of that Nobody, I really wanted to do the suspended yoga thing.
Mhm.
But of course, it maxes out at 250 pounds. Most of those things do. And I can't even remember being 250 pounds. So, it's like, okay, so I'm not really doing the class stuff, which is mostly cardio stuff, anyways. Not a big swimmer. They had a pool. Never really got around to using it. You
I
know,
like swimming, but not really for exercise.
yeah, right. Like, yeah, exactly, exactly. I like to feel weightless and floaty like a dolphin. That's cool. But breaching like a whale. But definitely not for exercise. It just was never my. Despite apparently and I think Dan, you would too, because we're pretty identical body wise. We actually would be good swimmers apparently, given how our proportions are.
I used to be a competitive swimmer.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So
Of
yeah,
course, this was a long time ago, but like no, I actually like is a competitive swimmer. I was a certified lifeguard.
holy smokes. There you go. So if I'm gonna swim with somebody, it'll be you. But yes, anyway.
I also took my courses, so I'm no longer qualified because this was like almost 20 years ago. But I was qualified to teach up to white, I think.
Oh wow.
Try to
Okay.
remember.
I think I got up to my. I remember those badges. I think I got up to white. It was just
Uh,
under. It was maybe 1 unit under lifeguard training. I think I got. Like I was pretty big into swimming too, but just not competitively. Just getting my badges kind of thing, as someone does. But anyways, I guess yeah. So that's where that's where you're at. If we're going to bring it back to the conversation here, I am just starting through my rugby team some training, personal training in a basement. Mac, he's a good guy. Great knowledge of the chain. He actually used to be a trainer at Movati. But yeah, I've seen some great improvements, and I'm really enjoying it. I also have a gym membership I definitely don't use, and I'm debating whether or not to just get rid of it again because, like, fuck, man. But there's that, and then yeah, and then this like, I'm going to be running Broncos after this podcast. I was just telling Dan just before it started. So I'm on like a big upswing on physical stuff, whereas you who normally would be quite physical is essentially just you're waiting to get the home gym in because we're starting our second wave of COVID. Yay!
Yay. I am doing more cardio than I normally do, though. I've been playing tennis. I've
That's
been
good.
going hiking more. I've been running more. So I've still been active.
Yeah.
I think training is really important, and the form of it can change. I really love strength training, and that's not going to change. It's always going to be my favorite. There's nothing to me that feels as good as having like a whole bunch of weight on your shoulders and just lifting it up and just feeling like the Hulk.
Yeah, it's just cool, right? I
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
speaking of strength training, then, so what are your views? What would be your normal regimen actually? Like, what are the exercises you do? All these
so
questions, man. All these.
my regimen is very based around sort of the main exercises for full body strength. I don't go for a lot of the coordination exercises, which are can be very good, like the clean and jerk and things like that. All of which also really have higher risk of injury.
They're complicated.
Because
The Olympic lifts and stuff, or
yeah,
there's a lot happening there.
so my big lifts are the basic powerlifting 3 because those really use all the muscles in your body and require very good coordination of them. That's the bench press, the deadlift, and the squat. Around that, I do a lot of individual exercises that really focus on what I'm going to be using in a rugby match.
Right.
So I do a lot of neck exercises. I do a lot of calf lifts because both like one of the things that I learned when I started playing prop is holy fuck, does your neck hurt after your first game?
Yes.
And then like every other year for the first like 3 or 4 years after I started playing prop, the first game of every year, the day after, I just could not move my head at all because my neck was so sore. I would have to like look straight ahead. If I wanted to look to the side, I had to turn my entire body because my neck would not turn. And now I work out my neck during the winter, and that doesn't happen. Yay for learning.
Yeah, are you getting forward head yet? That thing where your head's like forward a bit because of stuff.
I mean, I've always had that a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of grip exercises to really focus on because I mean, especially as a prop, I find that I make a lot of jersey tackles just because I'm not as quick as a lot of people, but I don't
Get
need to
it?
be quick. If I can grab onto your jersey, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. And I've just gotten into understanding grip exercises actually very recently because of Juji, that guy, Juji Mufu. Anyways, so this dude is like, have you ever seen the thing where it's a guy and he's like ripped bodybuilder looking dude, big guy. And he's doing flips, and he's kicking flamingos, and he's generally kind of crazy looking. Anyways, he sells grip implements, and it like most of his channel is weird grip exercises. They like fucking love grip exercises. So I've only just started in on understanding that because the grip is my on my deadlift was always like, you know, I get to a certain weight and I'm like hook lifting it.
To be fair, I mean that's true of most people. It's just why they have like deadlift straps.
Yeah.
Grip is usually the. Yeah. I
So
don't use the straps either, but I mean, just saying, like you're not alone in that.
yeah. Okay, sorry. So okay. Well, let me just quickly interject. I'm holding my hands up to the screen, like, hold on, Dan. um, I also do those key ones, and I've always done like a 5x5 kind of thing, which is also it's those three, but also just bent over rows, like with the barbell or dumbbell, no barbell, sorry, as well, because that's kind of like rocking and like whipping a guy around. Not that I've ever gotten fast enough to tackle a dude, get up, and then like roll him over to steal to jackal the ball. Not that I've ever done that, but I could if I got there. And also overhead press, which of course is classic line out, and that's my favorite overhead press. If you want to talk about like you're saying, feeling like the Hulk is when you're like, yeah, and it's like right over your head, and there's a little precarious because it's heavy weight over your head. I love that one. That's one of my favorites. But yeah. So anyways, grip exercise. Continue, please. Just interjecting.
No, I was one interjecting into your story.
Ooh, double jection. Okay.
But it is true. The bent over row is one I do as well. Although I don't feel like that one is necessarily huge for rugby. It definitely comes into handy. But I find grip exercises and calf exercises more. I just do it because you know it's a good back and bicep exercise, and I have a little bit of vanity where I'm like, yeah, I have big arms. Look at my biceps.
Fair enough, man. They're there for show. Like they're supposed to be there to look good, man.
And that's what the bicep is for, really. And God said He needs vanity muscles. Let there be a bicep.
Yeah, no triceps. I work triceps a lot because those are super useful, actually. Like incredibly useful.
Yeah.
Good strong triceps, man. But yeah, okay. So and I mean, so the strength training. I used to do like four times a week or 3 times a week, 2 a days. Back when I was angry and getting ripped. But I don't know. What's your average then, as far as going, right? Like, there's that 72-hour regeneration cycle thing people talk about for muscle.
Yeah. And so a lot of research has shown that while certainly there is that regeneration period, if you do daily exercises for upper body, that can be very effective. Lower body requires a little bit. Can't do this as well. There was no added benefit. But people who, instead of doing like a whole bunch of sets of like bench press, did like one bench press set one day, one bench press set the next day, actually showed increased strength over time, rather than people who did like 3 sets of a bench press, waited 72 hours, did another 3 sets, doing 1 set a day, which actually didn't actually make out to being more exercise. Of course, you still have to go to the gym. So when I was I try to work out. I've been focusing a lot more on cardio, so I haven't been doing that as much recently. But back before COVID, I was going to the gym around 5 times a week,
Okay.
and so I was doing like arms all 5 times, and then once or twice a week doing legs, because it showed really you're not getting any benefit from doing legs more than once a week. Um, and so that was working pretty well for me. I was able to get in like a pretty short, quick workout, doing some cardio, doing like all my arms, and really getting in and out in an hour. I'm very slow working out, which is to my detriment because I'm a very busy person. Uh, it's like I'm. And then I'm often trying to work out with other people. I'm like, well, I'm doing the same workout as you. I'm done. You're on your third exercise. I'm like, I'm old and fat.
Slow. Yeah.
um,
I
you
like long
know, well,
workouts though, man. I've always been I'm there to spend time there, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I've heard long workouts are not the way to go. I just kind of like them. I like feeling a little afterwards. I don't know. I
I,
just feel like I want to be rushed.
I mean, there's often talk about how really if you deplete too much, like there's a whole bunch of things in the research out there about sort of when you intake your protein. As your workout is too long, you're really missing your protein workout for a lot of your exercise, to really actually like get that benefit from the immediate protein. I haven't actually seen if there's any studies of people who like sort of like take protein while they're working out over the course of workout if that avoids it. Obviously, it's a whole in the literature. If there are any like PhD students listening, in like
Yeah,
medicine or like human what is it, kinesiology, human, I don't know what they're called.
kinesthesiology. Yeah,
I
no,
think that, anyways,
yeah.
sports medicine or something like that. Great avenue for research. You can take the idea. You don't have to cite me. Just the research will be out there. I'll be happy because I've learned. Um, but there's also like if if you run out of easily available energy in your body will start also cannibalizing muscle, um, and that's something that's very bad. But
I don't know, man. It doesn't like I'm not saying I don't know about that. I think I agree with that. I've always wondered about the balance between eating fat and eating muscle. As like, when does the body know when to do which? And I've just never really researched it. I guess it's my own fault, but I've also always just never easily had someone tell me. But also like it does take me a while to get very tired. I feel like it's because we've gotten used to playing fairly long games. If I'm honest, we get exhausted quick, but then we're like fine. Like it's never gonna get more tired. Like I've never dropped dead, or
there
whatever.
there are times, I remember like during rugby tournaments, I played like games a day. I'm like, well, I feel tired, but I don't feel any more tired than I did before the last game. And I
Right.
played fine. And then you go to play this third game, and you go to take your first running step, you realize, oh no, I am more tired.
I've made a horrible mistake. Yeah, but I think what also though there's quite a bit to say about conditioning, like for us, because we've had to play games where it's the full 80 because there's no other there's no other substitutions or anything, and I think that has helped us. Like I've never gotten so exhausted at a gym as I have after a full 80 rugby game.
Yeah.
Like, and it seems to make sense to me too because like you can't. I don't know if you could do at the gym everything you do at a rugby game, rugby match, right? I think there's so
Like,
many varied and exhausting things that
and
happen.
there's also, more motivation to do it intensely all the time because
Yes.
all your teammates are there. It's a
Yeah.
competition. Lifting, I'm definitely very motivated when I'm doing the exercise. And then it's the rest period.
Yeah.
It's a rest period. What is your motivation to go back to the workout? The workout's going to be hard, and
Yeah.
you're going to strain. You're going to feel good when you do it. But, if I take a 5-minute break or a 30-minute break, it's going to feel still just as good afterwards, and I
Right.
don't have to do the exercise now.
It's so funny too because like a lot of the times I'll have this voice in my head, and it's the mental, you know, struggle. I feel it's always way more than the physical toll that it elicits, because it's yeah, you could definitely work out, but have you tried lying down?
Ooh, I have not. Tell me
Ooh.
more.
Well, tell me more, voice in my head that would really just prefer lying down. So
I'm gonna have to
that's
try this.
that's my struggle right up. Oh, don't, you'll never stop. That's my struggle right up until 10 minutes into any physical activity.
See, I thought you were gonna say that's your struggle right now.
It's my struggle right now, dude. I was, as I'm talking about it, I'm like, fuck, man, I could be lying down, but
It's a podcast. No one would know.
no one would know. Yeah, no, but I think the timbre of my voice would change, because a lot of like opera singers have done that, where they lie down and it aligns their vocal flaps, and so they actually sing a better song. So perhaps it's an improvement if I just do this line down. See how insidious this line of thought is. This is the struggle. Everything's better if I'm lying down.
So, listeners at home, if next week Caleb's voice has a different timbre,
Yep.
you know why.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so okay, so strength training. I mean, we both do, very similar strength training. Outside of like those key lifts, I don't know. I'll just fuck around on stuff. Like I never have focused on my arms. They just seem to be worked with, aside from the triceps. I always, for some reason, do that.
I mean, the triceps are the main arm muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just and when people often with small arms will like, I want to get my arms bigger. They'll focus on their bicep. The tricep adds much more bulk to the arm. The bicep, of course, looks prettier when you have like the whole flex. It's harder to track the tricep. You have to like go,
yeah,
and like twist your arm. Like, look at me, I have big triceps. They can flex.
You see this line right here? Yeah, it's a harder sell for sure.
Yeah. You have to learn how to show off the tricep in a flattering way. I'm sure we could get like some professional bodybuilder on here who could George has done bodybuilding competitions. We can get him on. He can tell us how to do it.
It's a whole science, that stuff. It's wild.
Yeah.
All the poses and yeah, like how to get it just right. But yeah, so that's basically our strength training regimen. I find a lot of these. I've also found actually a lot of these core exercises like the squat and whatever. Very much do have the squat is yes and no. I am debatable on that, but I have found that there are direct correlations in rugby and stuff for that. The row actually I feel gets me into just a pre-scrum crouch.
See, I find that deadlift is best for that. For the longest time, I didn't do deadlifts. In part just because like I'd heard lots of stories of people throwing out their back doing deadlifts, in part because it never really felt as great as a squat to me. And so for a long time I just didn't do deadlifts. And then I started and I found it did wonders for my scrum, just because I'm like, oh, this is much more of like a natural scrum position with your like back flat, getting that. Same thing with like kettlebell swings. I find they also are really good for it. Because I do a lot of kettlebell swings right now because I can't do deadlifts.
Right. There's nothing to lift, man. But yeah, no, and I love deadlifts too. Like deadlifts were, and I think, I don't know. I know I just said that overhead press is my fave, but close second, sometimes more. Deadlifts have been my favorite because it works, I guess, with my arm ratio to body. I suppose it's pretty good. Whatever that is, I'm actually like a plus 0.75 if we're going with the imperial measure, which would be a plus 19 millimeter increase on like height to arm whatever. So my arms are like just like 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters longer overall than like my wingspan than my height. Yeah, my son. Okay, so Jade has an amazing. He's got the arm length of someone. Like his wingspan is like 6'2". But he's like 5'8". He's crazy huge arms, and so I'm just waiting for that extra growth spurt to happen. But he's got like wicked long arms.
Either that, or he's going to make a great scrum half.
Yeah, just right in there. Yeah, he's played scrummy before. He did not like it, but he did a good job.
I mean, I can't imagine liking playing scrum half.
I know, right? Everyone's not fucking listening to you. You got to run around to whatever they've done, pull their ass out of the flames. Yeah. So yeah.
You also have to be the one to like scream at people to do stuff instead of just going and doing it yourself.
It's
That's
true,
why I like being a prop.
right?
I'm the one who's just like, I see something, I go do it.
I
People
like,
scream me like, Daniel, we need you over here, go do this, and I go do it.
yeah, right. There's a simplicity and purity in our act that I really enjoy. Where I'm like, you're just expecting me to trudge along and then sprint forward when I have to, and push hard when I need to, and everything's nice and everything's understood. But okay, speaking of sprinting, let's talk about cardio, Dan.
I was
I've
hoping
had
we
quite
wouldn't get to that.
I know we always do. We always hope it doesn't get. I've had quite a journey with cardio. I used to be. I mean, okay, so my body likes cardio. It actually does. And once it gets to, it's my brain that fucking hates it. And my body is pretty much down for anything, but my brain is like, what the fuck is this unpleasantness? But cardio, I've done a whole bunch. I used to do quite a bit of running, a great app for anyone out there who's a prop and wants to improve just general cardio is actually Couch to 5K and then Couch to 10K. Man, it's a good interval training program. That the running intervals get longer and longer. That I find was exceptionally good for just general running around ability mobility. Um,
The only thing I would worry about, like with the programs for someone who's a prop, is if you have more weight on you. Sometimes the running intervals can get really fast before you can, just
yes,
because like if you got, it's not just a matter of your cardiovascular health. It's also a matter of like running tires you out faster.
yes,
And I have like one friend who I was trying to like coach into more fitness. He was our size but without any of the muscle,
right,
and he'd always tried like Couch to 5K before and always just got disheartened because
right.
the intervals got so long and he couldn't keep up. And like you got to stop with that program. It's very much like one size fits all.
So what I
um,
and I did find that, and what Couch to 5K does is if you get rid of and what all these programs kind of do. What I found worked for me was, like you said, I was getting way more tired. It was advancing further than I could at the time, and so what I did is you can just repeat weeks or whatever. So I would like if I hit a plateau, sometimes I would, I guess, quote unquote deload and go back one until I was better, and or stay on the same one. And what's difficult is then you're on that, and I found this with cardio in particular, is I'm a goal oriented person and I'm a time span oriented person because I think way too much in advance. The analysis paralysis is it's what I do for a job. It's everything about me is I just think too much. I have to turn that off. And so it's like, yeah, it's okay if it doesn't, if you don't follow along that timeline. It's more the consistency I found 100% more than anything else. If you were just consistent, improvement will happen. And it's also easier on the feet because my feet, man, like you got to be careful when you're our size too. Like that fucking plantar fasciitis bullshit.
mhm.
That stuff is brutal. But anyways, that's my spiel on. I guess I'm not sponsored by Catch the 5K, but but if you do use it, and it does, like Dan said, if it does go faster than you can, that's one way to go about continually using it. Because if you stop, like you said, getting disheartened, that's brutal. That's worse than any injury because then you'll just never do it again, or it'll take a very long time. But that's my spiel, everybody. Slow it down if you have to.
I there are people who love cardio, and if you're one of those, you're probably not a prop. uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
but if you hate cardio, yeah, do whatever will get you like doing cardio. I mean, one great thing that science has really found out recently is that you can get a very good cardiovascular workout in not much time with high intensity interval training. So
Yes.
if you hate cardio, it's actually really great. I have been doing this and it's kept my endurance up and kept my speed up even as I have, kept on getting my weight up. um, because one of the things I love about strength training is just that sort of like put it all on the line in like this for this one moment and you've accomplished it. It's done. You're
Yeah.
like, that was fantastic. Like I squatted, like a whole bunch of weight. With doing high intensity interval training, I've really been able to just go all in, just get that sort of same feeling uh, in like 20 seconds. And then it's like, oh God, that was a good workout. whew, I get to like, come down now and just sort of
Yeah.
like, yep, yep, yeah. And then I do it again. Uh, Certainly, this is not a replacement for a longer cardio because, in a rugby game, you're going to be running for 80 minutes. You can't do like, and while certainly, there's definitely going to be intervals where you're running harder and then other intervals where you're sort of plodding along, being like, yep, plays on the other side of the field now. Um,
The
it's a
shuffle.
lot, yeah, the shuffle. It's a lot more continuous in an actual game, and high intensity interval training trains you very well for that. Well, trains your cardiovascular health very well.
Yes.
It doesn't replace your ability to sort of like run at a low pace for 80 minutes.
No.
So it has limits,
Yeah.
but in terms of just maintaining and actually, if you hate cardio, just being able to do it, I find it's fantastic. I have zero regrets about doing it. Other than the fact that when I used to run like a lot more, because when I started playing rugby, I didn't really have much of a gym membership, and so a lot of my fitness was just running.
Right.
Um, and I had like one like 40-pound set of dumbbells at home, which is not that great for strength training. It was all right, but yeah, no, like I was able to run a lot better then. But I'm not much slower than I was then, considering I've gained like another like 80 pounds.
Another scrum half. But but yeah, no, it's true. Like as far as higher interval training, what do I like? I like hill climbs, actually, like hill sprints, whatever, wind sprints, hill sprints.
Hill
Um,
sprints and wind sprints are two different things, but
that's true.
yes.
Yeah. The wind sprints are the one with the parachute, right?
That is one thing of doing it. Yeah, I mean, we can actually like make sure we're not talking about us by looking this up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so the one I've done the parachute one that I did not the torque level that I could produce. They didn't really produce a lot of drag. I've done the hill one, which I really love. So whatever the hill one is called, Dan, you're looking it up right now.
so the hill one is called hill sprints. Wind sprints are actually just sprinting.
Oh, oh. Well, I like sprinting too. I was big in the 100-meter sprints and stuff, and 200 whatever in track and field in school. But I really like the hill one. I think that's great. It does give you that sort of almost weightlifty exhaustingness, and then you can sort of roll down the hill if you have. But it's
Bring your child with you and just have a good time
oh man, he
rolling down
outruns
the
me
hill.
on everything, man. He outruns me on everything. Although rolling down a hill, when I was 7 years old, I was in Montreal and I was rolling down a hill near the train station in downtown. There was a hill. There was actually greenery right by it, and I cut my leg open. And I remember my dad carrying me in. I got stitches without anesthesia, uh, and I had the scar that was on my like upper quad area. I'm looking at it right now if my voice goes weird because anyways, this is a tangent. Anyways, I've noticed the scar has like since I've grown, obviously. My scar is now on my knee. So that's why I typically don't roll down hills, Dan. I'm literally scarred by it. But yes, anyway, so I like the hill climbing, hill running thing. Yeah, what's your hit HIIT exercise of choice?
Usually it's the elliptical, just because on the elliptical I can sort of like I can do it for like 20-30 seconds, then I can read a book,
Yeah,
listen to something, go on my phone. And so like I often have just a thing on. Right now my big thing is master class. I've been doing a whole bunch of master classes, and just like I can watch that, then pause, do the intense, and be like, okay, okay. Then
yeah,
like go back, watch the master class for a little bit longer. Um, that has not been a thing because I don't really have a way to do that right now
right,
because I don't have. So I've been really, when I go running, I do like more. I like do really intense, sort of like 1 minute, and then take a rest until I'm recovered. And
right,
so I've been, instead of trying to have long intervals, I've been trying to get to more of a sprint, which means my 5K time is not necessarily as fast as it could be because it's a lot faster when you don't push yourself hard for your intervals.
yeah,
But it means that I feel like I'm getting a good workout through that because of my like hard sprints. Well, I shouldn't call them hard sprints because they're not really hard sprints, but they're a fast enough pace that I'm like sort of spent after a minute.
right, right. And I mean, when you're our size, it's so funny. So I have this. My mom My mom gave me this. It's like the little Fitbit watch thing that counts your calorie and your steps and everything. But you can exercise it. It auto recognizes exercises and stuff. Whatever.
Mhm.
When I go on just a nice walk, which is about 5K an hour kind of thing, it calculates uh, based on my weight. And I don't know how accurate this is. It calculates the calorie burn. And apparently, like on this instance, if I walk and I walk, like I said, it takes about an hour to go 5K because I have a little path that I know. So that way, when I run, I know exactly what the time is as well. It says I burn 870 calories. And I don't know if that's true. Like, I mean, I'm huge, right? So if you're
I
looking,
don't think that's true.
I know it can't possibly, right? By
If
weight versus heart, because it does with your heart too. And I guess my heart beats quite a well. It doesn't really beat crazy though. Like I've never, anyways, yeah. So it's, I really wish it could be accurate, or I could maybe believe it. I don't know. Like it's so hard to get a good gauge of what your caloric burn or whatever it is too, right? Like, and that's kind of the caveat with all of this is like how do you know? Like, I'm a data guy, not that I'm a terribly good researcher, but I like to know benchmarks. you know
I think things like the Fitbit and something like that usually are very generous with their
That's what,
calculations. They want you to be like, "Wow, you did so great! I love this Fitbit. It shows me how much I did." Um, and they're usually not exactly wrong. They're just very optimistic, and they will often, take a not perhaps not necessarily representative person and scale them up in perhaps not fully accurate ways. And then you can grossly exaggerate the number of calories burned. Uh, I I find a better way to do it, and when I'm like actually cutting, this is what I do, and I've always found it really works is go to something that really is meant to just calculate your basal metabolic rate. And you put in your amount of activity, this, and they'll tell you like, here's how many calories you probably will need to like maintain your weight. Here's how many calories you need to lose weight. Here's the amount of calories you want if you want to gain weight in a sort of like healthy, slow, controlled way to build muscle. And I've always found those have been almost always accurate,
right.
much more so than things that actually track my exercise, which you'd think would know more because they actually give the data on it.
Yeah.
But no, if I ignore them, go to something that calculates my basal metabolic rate, and it's always like within like a couple hundred calories usually.
Wow, that's pretty
Um,
accurate actually. That's
yeah. Considering it's like basing it on just off like your age, your activity level, and stuff like that, and yeah, so I highly recommend those if you want to change your weight or even just maintain your weight. Um, yeah.
I mean, body composition too is such an interesting thing for people like us, where we've got high high body fat percentage, high muscle, skeletal muscle, whatever mass percentage. I am always curious as to what my base metabolic rate would be, or just what my composition is, or you, Dan. Like, I'd love to see like whatever the scan, the CAT scan they do where they see the muscle density or whatever, man. That'd be fucking wild. I just, yeah. So I'm always, if anyone of our listeners knows where we could go to figure this out and possibly how much, and if we could do it for some research, something or other, where we don't have to pay, I would greatly appreciate that information.
I've done a bod pod before, but yeah, never one of those like DEXA scans, which do the whole like X-rays and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I've done what's a bod pod?
So no, it's not a bod pod; it's an AirPod. I think. I don't. No, it's not AirPod. Those are the head things. What are they called? And so basically, there is a pod that really goes in that takes your weight very accurately, and then measures the exact amount of air displacement that you have,
Oh,
and then is able to calculate your rough sort of like uh, muscle density and actual skeletal density and fat density from the air displacement, because getting a very, very accurate measure of your volume. Um, and I don't even know what it's called. What is it
I'm
called?
looking
Maybe.
at it. I'm like, air displacement body measurement.
Oh
I've
no, it is a bod pod. I was right the first
bod
time.
pod.
Yeah.
Let plethysmography, air displacement plethysmography. Oh, interesting. I had no idea that I'd never seen this before. So what were the results at the time? What were the okay? When did you go? What were the results? What was the experience like?
I think it's pretty good. I went about 2 years ago. My
Okay,
results,
all right.
yeah, my results were about 25% body fat,
Oh, that
which,
you got a lot of muscle, man.
yeah. I have definitely, I'm 2 years older now, and it's also been,
Fucking
6 months
COVID.
of quarantine, so I probably am not 25% right now. Um, but yeah, it's
Wow,
so
interesting.
yeah,
Where did
it's a
you?
lot cheaper than the X-ray scans, and also doesn't involve sending X-rays through your entire body. Uh,
I suppose, sure. Oh, that's fascinating. So, did you have to? I guess, yeah. Like, did you have to prepare for it in any way? Was there like fasting, or I don't know? Like, what was? You just show up and get in this bubble?
more or less, yeah. I mean, like, you generally want to not like eat right beforehand, or that'll like really throw things off. But because it is really about your body density, you don't have to worry so much about that. Um, Obviously, like eating will increase your volume, but the idea is it uses really the algorithms to detect volume is what. So if you're getting really dehydrated, it's not going to be as off in the way that one of those like bioimpediment scales is going to be, because
Right.
those
Oh,
just your
shoot.
hydration levels completely changes those results. I can go on them like, and it'll say my body fat percentage is like, 30, like over 30%, and I'm like, holy shit, have I gone that fat? And then I realize like I just haven't drank anything for a while. I'll like drink a whole bunch of water, wait an hour, go back, it's like your body fat percentage is 22%. I'm like, I don't think that's quite accurate either. Uh,
And for those who don't know, yeah, those are the ones where you stand on them, they shoot a current through your body, and whatever the resistance is dictates whatever. Some have handholds. So Movati had one of those, and that gives you like the charts and stuff like that. But yeah, like there's not infallible.
yeah. Yeah, I mean they're generally, considered like they vary a lot with your hydration level. Although I have found based upon like when I was doing my bod pod, I did one at the same time. I found if my hydration level is pretty normal, then it's pretty accurate to the bod pod, at least for me. But of course, it changes a lot based on a lot of things. Like it also depends on where your fat is. If you store your fat in your legs, you have a really toned upper body. It's going to get your weight. It's going to get your body fat percentage completely wrong,
Right.
um, because it's sending the current up through your legs and then cross your body and then down your other leg, and if that's where all your fat is, that's going to block the electrical signal.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, I don't have that problem. All my fat is on my upper body. My legs are quite toned.
I mean, then it could very well be like underestimating your body fat percentage.
Oof, true.
Um,
But yes, I see exactly what you're saying.
but I mean, considering you have a relatively similar body composition to me, when I am like normally hydrated, it's been pretty accurate compared to the bod pod. So, you know, you're,
Fair enough. Fair enough. The bod pod. That's super interesting. Okay, well, I'm looking at where bod pods are near me because I want to know, man. I just want to know something. But okay, so that's that. What were we talking about? Diet. So Dan, I laugh like that because I know what I eat. What do you eat, Dan? Because we are actually kind of very dissimilar in what we eat because you're vegan ish.
uh,
Uh,
more vegetarian these days.
or vegetarian. I know. Yeah, that's right. Because we talked about that on
Yeah.
an earlier episode. And I very much am a herbivore, more on the meaty side, if I'm honest. I fucking love me some protein in that respect. Um, but yeah, like it's what do you know what your caloric? Do you watch it all? What your caloric intake throughout the day is?
Um, I it depends a lot. um, so I mean, as I've said before, I will often go on to a cut where I'm really watching it. But I've also found that while watching every calorie works, it's just so exhausting that it's
It is.
not really worth it. Uh, I can like with the energy I'm spending on that, I could just spend more time exercising and probably get the same result. Instead, what I really do in terms of eating everything is and to make sure I'm like getting to a healthy weight and able to lose weight when I want to, is doing intermittent fasting.
Interesting. Yeah, I've tried that too.
Where I wake up in the morning, and what do I do? First thing in the morning is I have vegetables and I'll have a protein shake. And then I will and then I start my 8 hours with that because I have basically an 8 hour eating window and a 16-hour non-eating window.
Right.
But if I start my 8 hour eating window with a protein shake and vegetables, then I'm starting with relatively full belly and of things that are relatively low calorie and also protein fills you up a lot more than carbs do. And what if I'm going to be overeating, it's usually going to be overeating carbs, though not always. I can also overeat protein sometimes. I'm like, this is delicious, give me more protein.
That's my big.
uh
Not so much the carbs, the protein.
I mean, I get like that sometimes, but generally, like I get when I generally I don't overeat protein as much. If I'm overeating something, it's just like, oh, I just made a kilogram of pasta. Oh, I just ate a kilogram of pasta.
That's also that's also very dangereux. Easy to do. Fuck a kilogram of pasta. Oh my god, yeah.
um,
It's like,
so really, by starting off my 8 hours on a healthy note, I find one like it really sets the tone for the day. I find for me, tone setting is really important. I find if I want to do something, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be hard. Just like, I'm gonna start it off right, and then what happens afterwards happens. And usually, if I start off right, I want to continue being right. Like, I've started off healthy. I'm going to continue being healthy, and that usually works really well for me until I have like shit hits the fan, and then it all goes out the window.
yeah.
Because I find that when I was doing it initially, one of my big problems would be just not have like I would be like, oh well, I just need to get some quick calories in. I'll eat more veggies later, and then by the time like I do eat the veggies, I actually really like vegetables. But
Yeah.
the issue is I've already eaten like way too many calories to fill up my belly, and then
Yeah.
by the time I'm eating the veggies, it's like, well, yes, these are healthy veggies, and it's good that I'm eating them, but I've already eaten like 4,000 calories today. you
Exactly.
know, intermittent fasting does not mean you can't eat the calories, or doesn't mean the calories don't count. Um, because there's been a lot of studies on it. While it definitely works for a lot of people, it's not like it magically increases your metabolism or means that you don't process the food. It really seems like it's still in many ways like calories in, calories out, which is not to say that one of the big things is that if your dietary strategy relies upon willpower, it's going to fail. If anything relies upon willpower, they've done actually a lot of studies on people who meet their goals, and the people who meet their goals are not people who have more willpower. It's they plan around their weaknesses. They plan around the things that they actually are going to trip them up. Relying on your willpower to reach any goal is just untenable for anybody. So if you failed at your goals, it's not because you lack the willpower. It is because you have not found a way to work through your weaknesses. I mean, for me, that's always the emotional eating when the shit hits the fan. I still have not found a way around that. But in terms of like my day-to-day life, I have found that starting it off right works really well because I can tell myself, you know what, I'm allowed to have some junk, but first I need to like start off protein shake and veggies. Um, and try to like work in the junk healthy, and while I'll still slip up sometimes when I'm even before the shit hits the fan, it works really well for me. And so that's the big thing, like calories out in, calories out is just like this is thermodynamics. You can't really get around that. But it doesn't mean you should beat yourself up if you've been struggling, because I think a lot of people beat themselves up if they think calories in, calories out is true, because then it's like, hey, I'm entirely in control here. And that's not the way to think of it, because no one is able to accomplish what they need based upon willpower alone. It's if someone says that, if someone tries that, it's actually a sign they're probably going to fail. And that's not just my opinion. That's what all the psychological literature shows. And I'm sorry I took like a huge monologue for that, but that's like an important point because I know a lot of people beat themselves up over it, and so I decided like I'm just going to take this monologue and run with it.
Good. No,
Uh,
good. It's good. It was more eloquently put than I ever could because I too have struggled with just trying to do stuff on will alone. And yeah, sometimes my workaround is actually anger and spite. Um, but
I think it's Margaret Atwood who said that more books are written from spite than anyone would ever want to admit.
you know what? And I'm as a creative person as well. Uh, I have found that yes, it is a good tool to use. It's not reliable in the long run, but boy, does
No.
it help sometimes. Uh, and I'm not a terribly angry person by any means, but you got to use the tools, I guess, at your disposal that help you with your will. But that's not you. You were very eloquent, and it was actually a very wholesome um, thing to hear and listen to. And I'm just like, toxic me is like, I too am struggling with the willpower right now. Everything. It's yeah, you're absolutely right. It's you got to find those workarounds, and I have yet to, but I keep trying. The most committed wins typically, unless it just doesn't work. Sometimes that happens too.
Luck happens to everyone. What's that like? I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. There's one actually really good biblical quote that I'm blanking on right now. It seems to me that under the sun, what is it?
It's sounding pretty eloquent right now. I'm just not gonna lie.
No, that's not it. No, nothing new under the sun. Uh, okay, I'm going to do one more search for this Bible verse.
Oh,
That's
Daniel's.
here we go. Here we go. I
Oh,
found
there
it.
we go.
Ecclesiastes 9:11.
Oh,
I
yes.
returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet the bread to the wise, nor yet the riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all.
Oh, wow. There we go. I think, you know what? I think we should end on that, Dan. I think that's brilliant and beautiful. And, I like it.
All right. So here's your, like gay Polly Kinkster being like, yeah, quoting the Bible.
There you go. Use the tools you can, man. I am going to go run a Bronco.
Hey, good luck.
And I have literally, for the last half hour, been summoning the willpower to go do so. But my son needs to do it. I need to do it. I'm gonna do it for him, and get real out of breath. And it's whatever you can, whatever gets you going, man. So I'm gonna draw strength on that. So great episode, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caleb. Always a pleasure.
Always. Alrighty. Well, see you later.
Bye.